Hey guys, what's going on? Danny and Curtis here from Millennia today, and I just read an interesting article online from, actually, let's back up. I was at work, and I was on my break doing the thing, scrolling Facebook, and I follow Zelda Informer, which I'll probably throw a link in, or maybe not, I might forget how, whatever. Zelda Informer shared a link from their sister site called Gamenesia about a patent that Nintendo just filed for a discless home system. Now, I saw this and I didn't fully read the article, I just kind of skimmed through it really quick, and I kind of got annoyed by the fact that Nintendo would even consider doing something, because the first thing I thought of was, oh my god, is the NX going to be discless? And for someone like me, who loves collecting games, loves collecting retro games, and just tearing the cellophane off of a new case and then opening the case up, seeing the disc, the book, if there still is one, hashtag Call of Duty, and then like just getting that fresh scent out of the case, it's a really nice feeling. It's very gratifying when you like pre-order something, you go and you're like, boom, there it is. And I have to say, first point, this would be pretty bad for their industry, honestly, because for a lot of people that don't have internet, but they still know of the system, that's going to completely kill them. And I mean, I can't think of another way that they would have to be able to get the game, really.
They distribute the games, yeah.
Secondly, sorry, it's really hot in here. Secondly, the hard drive would have to be massive. I mean, absolutely massive if Nintendo's going to step up the NX, because I have a PS4 and it's 500 gig. I don't have the 1 terabyte model, and it's already full, and I have like 12 to 14 disc-based games, and I've already had to erase a couple, and I have like 3 digital games, and I have like 4 gigs left, and I have to consistently swap out, and it's already cumbersome to me that I have to have an external hard drive to put more games on. I don't think I should have to do that, really, and I don't want to have to do that with a Nintendo system as well, and I think that Nintendo would be smart to realize that it's faltering for Sony and Microsoft. And there was something else about hard drive space. Oh, a big, huge key point that I've always talked to Curtis about, because he's actually like super digital. What do you have, like a 64 gig card in your 3DS or something?
It's supposed to be, but 32 just for now, because the highest you get is Pokemon and Smash, and it's like just under 2 gigs.
Oh, well.
So,
right, for that, those games are much smaller. You really don't have to worry about it too much.
Right.
But, so one example I love using is taking Destiny. It's an always online game for whatever version you choose. Always online, you always have to have internet. And we'll say in 10 to 15 years, when that game's run its course and no one's really playing it anymore, eventually Bungie's eventually going to shut the servers down. That game's going to be offline, period, for good. Unless they send out a patch at the end to say you can play offline, which why wouldn't they just do that in the beginning?
I don't know, man. Garner interest, man.
You're not going to be able to play it anymore, and that very similarly coincides with what Nintendo would do with, say, the eShop or just their electronic games in general. Because we've already seen that the Wii's servers online are completely shut off. They are no more. They don't support them, period. And if we'll say when the NX has run its course in 10 to 15 years after that generation's over, granted Nintendo makes it that far, they're going to shut the servers off for that one too. And say you're still playing it, because we all know that most Nintendo IPs have pretty good replay value, and you just want to go back and play them again because they're fun and they always hold your entertainment pretty well. Once those servers are off, say your hard drive crashes and you didn't have anything backed up, you're pretty much boned. You have absolutely no chance of getting those games back. Even if you were to say, call up Nintendo and be like, yo, lost my games, they're going to be like, What do you want us to do? We have no proof. And I think the only way that you'd really be able to prove that is if they finally unify the Nintendo Network ID cross-platform, how kind of like the Vita and the PS4 do, where you can just sign in from any single one of them and see all of your purchases regardless. So
I mean, that's kind of like being hinted at with the new loyalty program, but it's nothing for certain.
Right.
So
And
play it safe, assume the worst.
right, it really it's very concerning, and this could seriously hinder Nintendo's growth as a company. And just to talk about the NX in general, from speculations that we've seen already, which I hope aren't true, they're saying that system is, when it gets announced in 1 to 2 years at E3 or whatever they're going to do now, however they're going to announce it with the Nintendo Directs or whatever, it's going to be less powerful than the PS4 and the Xbox One is already, which I understand Nintendo goes for innovation, and they try to do something different every time for the gamers, but even loyal fans like ourselves, you can see behind me NES, Super Nintendo, N64, GameCube, Wii, and the Wii U's down there. They, I just totally lost my train of thought.
They have a large dedicated.
Oh, they have a large
dedicated foundation.
They have a large foundation. We are getting tired of waiting for the system that Sony and Microsoft are giving us. We want a powerhouse that can still deliver the first-party IPs and get all the AAA developers, all the third-party guys. And I'm not just saying Call of Duty, but it doesn't matter who it is. But even when Call of Duty's starting to jump ship on Nintendo, that's kind of a warning sign. You really need to take that into effect.
Because, I mean, say what you will about the franchise, say what you will about it being a yearly cash-in, but it garners people, it helps people adopt systems.
The whole meme with Nintendo prints money, Call of Duty prints money, regardless. It doesn't matter.
To have that accessibility, a lot of people were like fighting for, like, I remember when the Wii U first started out, and everyone was just like, oh, Black Ops 2 isn't going to come out. And it did. Ghost isn't going to come out. And it did. People always had the argument, okay, we don't really need that. We don't need something that's just multi-platform. It's going to be dumbed down for the Wii U. No, it's always good to have something that someone else is going to say, oh, well, that's on this system. Maybe I can't get these systems. I can get the Wii U. It's still, it's a bridge. It's a medium for someone to actually play that game on. So the more options, the better. And I mean, I'm just gonna be honest. It wasn't too bad playing Black Ops on the Wii U.
No, it actually wasn't at all. But you could definitely tell, like, the hardcore fan base from the Wii U players versus when I went back to my 360. I could run through Wii U players like it was water. They were so much easier and not as well, I don't know, we'll say apt, because I tried playing it on my PC. I got my shit kicked in.
People got them analog, got them.
Dude, oh my god.
Got the macros, yo. Got them. But F4 to kill everyone.
Nintendo can't stay alive with their IPs forever. People aren't going to keep buying them, regardless of the fact that, once my parents are their original fan base in the 80s when Mario Bros came out, and then Super Mario Bros, so on and so forth. And yes, I have picked it up, but I'm not going to keep sitting there and picking up Super Mario World 3D Land and New Super Mario Bros 1, 2, 7, 9, 14, because I don't want that to have to keep happening.
Right.
Even with the Call of Duty series, I don't get every single Call of Duty because it's just like, oh, well, that one doesn't look that entertaining anymore. It's just kind of like, okay, I don't like to say it's the whole reskin, new like different guns.
$60 DLC pack.
Right, I don't like to do that because I like to give games a chance. But I mean, and they are starting to see it now as I go on, and I think really Nintendo needs to focus on a hardcore system that's a super powerhouse that is extremely similar, if not the same architecture as whatever Sony and Microsoft are gonna do, because that's what all the AAA devs want. They just want something that's easy to develop cross-platform when it's not, Bloodborne Sony exclusive or Titanfall Xbox One exclusive, which isn't anymore, or Microsoft I should say, because isn't it on PC now? I think it's on Steam. I don't quite remember. Don't quote me on that. I don't remember. I haven't played Steam in quite a while. And I love the fact that Nintendo goes for innovation, but I don't think that
You need to draw the line.
Yeah, and the fact that they're trying to bridge handheld and home console is also very scary because the Game Boy
They're
Advance...
all about scaring people.
Yes, the Game Boy Advance is still their #1 handheld seller. I don't think any handheld is gonna surpass the GBA.
The 3DS in terms of like the speed, 3DS beat it in some areas, but in terms of like total
Units, I think the SP is still, or just the Game Boy Advance in general, is still top dog. And if you take that away, you're eliminating a kids market because not all kids want to play consoles. Like, we still have 3DSs. You can see it on our unboxing videos. We both have the new 3DS XL. It's nice to be able to take it on the go and play Smash Bros. Like that. And younger kids come in and they want to play Pokemon. They want to play Mario. All the much younger generation. And you take that away, it might be very detrimental to their growth. And I don't want to see another. Where'd you put it? Where's the gamepad? Oh, I don't want to see another one of these. I never want to see another one of these. Don't get me wrong, it's fun and it was a great idea, but it was not executed well at all. I mean, Zombie U was a cool idea, but I just thought they were going to do so much more with it, and even at E3 when they released it, they were talking about having 2 gamepads, and then if you played games at 60 frames a second, they dropped down to 30 frames.
Never happened.
Never came to life.
People were even like saying like, where are the extra controllers that you can buy in the store and everything, and people were just like, oh, well, they'll sell them when 2-player games become available.
And I think going back to a very standard controller, like bringing something that's almost...
the patent that we're talking about here has I know you said you didn't read the article.
The whole article, right? Yeah,
but it does describe the controller input to be a traditional.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
okay.
It doesn't have a screen. It requires a TV to display whatever.
Oh, okay.
So no more of this.
Thank God.
No, yeah, we're good.
Well,
we're good.
because like there was nothing wrong with the GameCube controllers. These were the best that there are. I mean seriously,
the controllers.
It's got the Smash Bros. And that's fun, but we don't need it to be wired anymore, obviously. And okay, here you go. I feel like Nintendo wants to appease their fans, but they're not listening to what the fans want. And I have ranted many a time on Zelda Informer, and they've replied to me a couple times. And I think that they're on the same field as us, but to actually get it through to Nintendo. I've watched so many Review Tech USA videos. Shout out to Rich if he ever sees this. Be pretty cool. That Nintendo needs to focus back in getting the hardcore gamers back. If they took the IPs and the AAAs and put it in one system and Nintendo had them both, it'd be over. Nintendo would win every single time. And it really wouldn't be that hard. And I feel like there was one more thing that you said you were gonna play devil's advocate. Was there anything you were thinking about that?
I was just
why
gonna
the
say,
discless drive might be beneficial over? Because there's always 2 sides to a coin.
I mean, as it stands, most of my, I mean, like Danny says, and I've kind of made it a point. I go pretty much all digital, but I mostly did that with the Wii U because they were doing the digital deluxe promotion, where if you bought stuff through the eShop, every every $60, every 599 points, you got like 1 point per dollar. If you accrued that much, you'd get $5 back to use in the eShop again. So like you got money back-ish for spending money
nice
on
to eventually getting the game.
Right.
And
like that was great and everything. That was my incentive, and I'm not going to say that it didn't hamper my decision after that promotion ended to buy digital from then on. I just have, the last one was probably like Splatoon. And that was because there was actually a deal where it was 10% off if you bought it through the eShop and you played the demo thing that was going on.
And Splatoon's doing fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a really well-received IP. They definitely hit the nail on the head with that one.
But I mostly went digital with the handheld because you're going to take it everywhere. It's just there. And
or the games are right there.
Yeah.
The only scary thing is that, because I don't have any digital games on my 3DS, can you go into your account and see every game you've purchased.
Yes. And a lot of people have brought up and had the situation where the 3DS is either stolen or they've misplaced it. They can't be like, oh, we'll replace the 3DS for you. Okay? But if you say, hey, this happened, and you have your Club Nintendo account hooked up, or you have your Nintendo Network ID logged in on your system, and this goes for the Wii U or 3DS. I mean, I'm just going to say 3DS is more likely to get stolen than a Wii U.
Yeah.
But beside the point, people have been able to call in, and they'll restore your purchases. The only thing you really can't do is the save data. But, you know, that's...
I mean, it would be nice if you could back it up to a memory card, but at that point, you wouldn't be worrying about your save data being lost because you wouldn't worry about your at that point, it'd either be stolen or your memory card would be wiped.
Right. There you go.
Which, I mean, they could kind of move it to cloud storage like the PS4 does.
Yeah, PS4 and the PS Vita do cloud storage.
Yep, and which is a really nice feature. And I mean, Sony was going for the right idea with trying to make the Vita a companion to the PS4, but it's already legacy hardware. Like, that's a whole nother video that I could go on a rant about. But it's if Nintendo did it like that, I think, but executed it better than Sony did, that would be fantastic. That would be a much better way. But if they also need to focus so much more about online. Online needs to be even better than what it is now. I mean, Splatoon does run really nice, but we've talked about how Smash Bros, like the whole predictive input and whatnot. But even when I'm on fiber optic like we are right now, and I have it basically right next to my router, or full service anyway, so there's no interruptions or anything, it's still laggy and unresponsive and will not be the same as local, which is frustrating because when I want to play someone that isn't here, like Curtis or Rob or Rich or anything, you want to be able to play someone without any interruptions, and it's next to impossible to ever get that. So focusing on online on Smash Bros is a big thing.
So let's kind of just culminate it all together. Let's get a TLDR. Nintendo needs better online if they really want to go with the diskless route and expect everyone to be A-okay.
Oh, can I expand on that?
Yeah, sure.
No more server crashes, or we're experiencing too much high traffic.
Yeah.
When we got the midnight release of Smash Bros for the DS, that was a nightmare. I got it physical, he got it digital, and it took. I had to wait until
2 in the morning.
We were ready at midnight. I was at GameStop. He had full LTE on his phone. He was Wi-Fi ready to go, and just servers are down. We're experiencing problems. That cannot happen. That is going to hinder your sales because people will get sour about it, and they will hold a grudge.
But that needs to happen. I'll just kind of like backtrack a tiny bit. They didn't go with HD with the Wii, even though the competitors were going with HD, because they want to see an adoption of HD TVs before that, because at that time it was bleeding edge. HD TVs were like what the equivalent of 2K, not 2K,
right?
But
they had just broken into the market, and everyone's like, oh, I gotta have one.
So that's why they didn't adopt it, and that's why the Wii U was their first foray, but it was already kind of like too late.
Right, you're behind the curve on that one.
But
because the PS4 can output at 4K for videos.
They need to. I have a feeling they're going to go into this, but they're going against what their philosophy was before, with waiting for it to be adopted. Because I'm just gonna say, I have a great friend of mine. She still has satellite internet. It's not everywhere still, even though we're as developed as we are.
Moment of silence.
Da-da. But no, it still isn't everywhere, so it is alienating a good demographic. And I know some people who are still like, I still don't have great internet. It's like it's not dial-up, but it's not great. So to rely on that, it's not a viable way.
Right.
So the second thing is, they need to strike the balance between innovation and horsepower. Metaphorically speaking, we're not putting any motors into video game consoles anytime soon. Water cooling isn't ready for that either. Oh, God. So, third,
first water-cooled home console.
They need to stop with the false promises of the third-party whole, because they said they did that with the Wii U. They did that with the 3DS before, and the 3DS had a great third-party diverse thing, but it didn't carry through. With the Wii U, they kind of did, but not really, and it definitely did not follow through. and they need to build that. They need to build that with third-party developers first off, and say, hey, we got the goods. And finally, they need to have some backup way to have the distribution of the games if in case they do go with discless, because I mean I don't think they're going to go with cartridges again, and I sure as heck don't think they're going to go with 3DS sized home console games to plug in. I'd like
well, between disc and cartridge, there's always trade-offs, you know, because discs can hold more, but depending on what kind of cartridge they used, cartridges could almost potentially load faster. And it all depends on, you know, hardware, blah, 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 blah.
But you also got to think, if we're talking about storage, the most feasible way of the most feasible way of getting like content saved, they're relying, as it's been for some time, it's been disk, hard-based or physical-based storage. Relax. It's
Sorry.
It's fine. But it's been this combination of the two, and when you combine those two things together, I mean, I know I've been going with the whole digital thing with the handhelds, but flash-based storage has only so many saves, and then it starts to deteriorate. And to combine that together, and to be for a home console thing, like I mean, we go hard with Smash, but it's disk-based and then flash-based storage. That game will still keep going just as long as it still can be read, but it's going to have a certain limit to it, how many times it can be read again if it would be on flash storage. That's, you know, it's got to be consumable. It's got to be. I'm running on a tangent here.
No, you're going. No, we're good.
But
just listening.
That's pretty much it. They need to think a lot. And at the end of the day, and I've told this to Danny before, it's partly because why Nintendo is so reluctant to change. I mean, it's 2015, almost 2016, and they still have yet to establish a accounting system. They're in the works. I can see. I'm being positive, but the
fact that Microsoft had one on the original Xbox,
right,
back in, I think it launched in 01 or 02.
I'll have to check.
It's like 13 years ago.
Yeah,
we'll say it's 02, 13 years ago. That's saying something, you know. Right. I mean, granted, I know the GameCube had online with like Phantasy Star, and it had local LAN with Double Dash, but you know, that's whatever. And it was a cool idea, and the PS2 had kind of online, but it was really bad. And you know, it's so basically that's TLDR.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that Nintendo is Kyoto based. They're very traditional. They're reluctant to change by tradition, so that's kind of why they do the things that they do, the way that they do. Somehow they do, and that's part of it. But it's still not okay, especially
one of their biggest markets is America, which is so apt to change right now. The U.S. is on a fucking kick for changing everything. Donald Trump's running for president. Holy fuck! We'll leave that alone.
But
so TLDR. They need to have really good networking. They need to make sure that there's a backup plan just in case the whole discless thing backfires in their face, because they will go down in flames like Sega did with 3 different systems in such a short time. It's already really bad that they're cutting the Wii U's life so short that they're already talking about another console when the PS4 and the Xbox One have only been out for a couple years, and they're like, dude, we're going to go strong for probably a decade this time because we're more than apt to do it. And then they need to make sure on power and backup from third parties with good innovation that will still make a secure feeling between other companies and their gamers. That they'll be like, wow, this is a fresh feeling, and they still know that they're going to be like, oh, okay, everyone is still going to back us up. And I think that's what's really important. Nintendo needs to make sure that they get that across. So with to do, thanks for listening to us ramble at you for fucking 25 minutes now. With that being said, you know, I'm not even gonna tell you what to do. You already are gonna click the buttons and do the stuff if you enjoyed it or not. So we will see you next time on Millennia, and thanks for listening to us. So
bye, guys.
See you later.